Psalm 62 communicates a threat and an appropriate response. You can see over here on the right-hand side how I've paraphrased themes speaking through this psalm. This is not the only way to understand the psalm, of course, but it is a way of helping us organize the thoughts. Two big ideas that are coming through. You can see the contrast of certainties in verse 1, truly, verse 2, truly, verse 4, surely. The certainty of enduring an attack. And then we see the other side of the certainty, truly in verse 6, surely in verse 9. And in verse 8, the king speaks to the people and instructs the people on how they should respond. Over on the right-hand side, where I have broken up my response into three different directions. Take a look at all the affirmations, the instructions, and the declarations that this psalm writer speaks in order to remind himself in whom he trusts. In verse 6, truly he is my rock and my salvation, he is my fortress, I will not be shaken. Building on what was confessed in Psalm 61:2, from the ends of the earth, the psalm writer says there, I call to you, I call as my heart grows faint, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. So in this psalm, once again, the voice of the Messiah speaks, and the Messiah's voice rings out ultimately in Jesus Christ himself, as he is the one who, greater than David, was able to fulfill such trust and speak such words of instruction. Several years ago when I was in graduate school, I was in a situation where I was under a lot of stress working on a dual degree, and I remember holding in a lot of my tension internally to the point that my stomach was hurting badly, and I even went to the doctor to try to figure out whether this was something psychological or a serious physical issue. Over time, I got through this issue, and Psalm 62 was one of the Psalms that helped me get through it. Now, I know that the Psalms are not magical. I know that we shouldn't pray them just to speak words or to go through rituals, but they do give us words and thoughts and expressions of hope amidst our pain and struggle and difficulties. And Psalm 62 was one such psalm. I prayed this psalm over and over, day after day, or at least regularly, as I remember, over a period of time as I was going through that struggle. And I remember over the course of time that in praying through this psalm, and I believe it was also 61, possibly even Psalm 63, as I prayed these three together. And as they deal with a lot of similar themes, I prayed through these psalms over and over again, actually speaking the words, but speaking the words as sincerely as I knew how to God, while mostly upon my knees. And I can testify that this psalm, along with at least one or two others, helped bring healing to my life at that time. This psalm is not necessarily a physical healing psalm, but it does give and provide us words of confidence that we can speak to God when we are facing extreme difficulties or situations in which surely it feels like there's no way out. And surely it seems like the enemy is going to win the battle. But even more surely, the greater certainty is that we who have put our faith in Jesus Christ can trust in him at all times, pour our hearts out to him, as the king says in this psalm, because God, in his unfailing love, will listen and he will hear our requests and help us through such challenges.